US On Air brings you News of the Week for Friday, December 2nd. First, we will be talking about global affairs.
As you well know, before a single minute was even played, the politics were part of this match. The protests back in Iran are now in their 10th week. The Iranian players, in their very first match, did not sing along to their national anthems. Aren't being played in a vacuum, but are they usually this politically charged?
Not really. The minute the spotlight has been on Qatar as hosts, their human rights record, their attitude to LGBTQ plus people. So there was a spotlight already on the tournament, and then it was heightened when obviously the Iranian protests continued to really affect the team.
Football, or FIFA, gathered in Switzerland to announce which country would host the 2018 and 2022 World Cups. But even with all this political power in one room, the fate of their countries lay in the hands of these guys, the 22 FIFA officials with the power to pick the host. Many of these men have been accused of abusing their power, and this was the moment they took it a step too far.
2018 FIFA World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, will be organized in Russia. 22 FIFA World Cup is Qatar.
Rampant and deep-rooted corruption.
Corruption and
widespread corruption in the
racketeering and money laundering.
How did FIFA go from organizing one of the most beloved sporting events in the world to corrupting it? By the 80s, it had close to 170 members, mostly divided into 6 confederations with their own qualifying tournaments. And the organization kept getting richer. Take a look at how FIFA's profits grew steadily with almost every tournament until, boom, the 1980s. That's when World Cup sponsorships, merchandise, and TV rights became worth millions. All of this money was largely controlled by 24 officials, the leaders of each confederation, and some senior officials like the president. This group was called the Executive Committee, or EXCO. They had the power to distribute FIFA's money to its member countries for building football fields, holding tournaments, and establishing youth programs.
Very often this was done without any checks in place. Lots of money was siphoned off. A development money kickback became almost standard practice in certain parts of the world. There was a cabal of nakedly corrupt committee men within FIFA, and Mr. Blatter ignored their excesses because he relied on their support to keep himself in power.
It was in this culture of corruption that FIFA in 1964 decided to take the vote away from Congress and give it to EXCO, meaning that to host a World Cup, countries only needed to win the votes of a majority of EXCO. Just 13 of them. More and more countries desperate for World Cup prestige, FIFA found ways to play them off each other. The bidding countries spent millions of dollars on a 2-year gauntlet of PR events to impress FIFA, and tried to outdo each other by promising new stadiums, hotels, infrastructure, and lucrative TV offers. This became the well-known public-facing side of the bidding process.
That was the start.
When the 2006 vote came to a close, EXCO chose
Deutschland.
Thanks to one voter abstaining at the last moment. Journalists had later revealed that Germany had bribed at least 4 EXCO members for their votes, including the official who abstained. It was the first publicly reported incident that revealed FIFA had another layer to its bidding process that involved cutting deals with EXCO members under the table.
Next up are human rights.
Qatar won the rights to host the World Cup in 2010.
Today we celebrate, but tomorrow the work begins.
It had made an unbeatable promise to FIFA. It would spend more money than any host had ever done before, $200 billion. And it delivered. Since then, Qatar has built up 8 stadiums. It's built dozens of hotels and laid down miles of roads and metro lines to connect all that infrastructure. To power decades of development, Qatar has relied on a constant supply of temporary, low-paid workers, mainly from South Asia and East Africa. Typically, Qatari companies hire international recruitment agencies that find workers to send over. They promise these workers well-paying jobs in exchange for illegal recruitment fees up front. They also have the workers pay for medical tests, passports, flights, the visa, all to get the job contract.
Transnational cross-border operation which completely screws workers at the start of their journey. Workers often use their family savings to pay for a job in one of the richest countries per capita in the world.
They arrive in Qatar often to find they're not getting the job and salary promised and can't do anything about it because they've now entered the country's kafala system. It's a uniquely restrictive immigration system that can take different forms in different industries. But they all have one crucial thing in common. Kafala legally ties the immigrant's immigration status to their employer.
Finally, we will be talking about democracy.
This is a big moment in our country's history. It is the first time in 27 years that we have seen a successful sedition prosecution. And it has been 68 years since we have seen Americans convicted of sedition. The jury made clear today what happened on January 6th was a violent act against the United States of America, not, as the RNC once called it, legitimate political discourse. And those who were involved in orchestrating it, people like Stuart Rhodes, they have now been found guilty of one of the rarest charges our country levies. All of this tonight casts the defense of January 6 insurrectionists in a slightly different light.
Even calling it an insurrection, it wasn't. By and large, it was peaceful protests.
I thought everybody in the country bared some responsibility based upon what has been going on, the riots on the streets, the others.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, leave a like, and comment down below.